Hey guys, what's up? It's Eric, and welcome to another ECM Vision Studio painting session. Please like and subscribe to my page to stay updated with future painting videos, art videos. Also, check the links below to see more of my work. I have original art and prints available at my website, ecmvisionstudio.com. So for today's session, we are going to work into something that's already been started. Sometimes during my painting practice, I'll keep a sheet of paper next to me or a canvas where I just will use it to kind of like clean my brushes or use leftover paint that I have on my palette and we'll just kind of randomly go onto that piece. And then usually it creates this kind of like abstract kind of form on it. And then sometimes I like to take that and then work into it to create a final painting, which is what we're going to work on today. I kind of have some plans to maybe put a portrait into what's already been started, but at the same time, my process is I like to keep it open, and whatever comes up, and we'll kind of see what happens. Also, I'm going to be using acrylic paint and black India ink. And yeah, I think that's it. So enjoy the video. Okay, so this is what we have so far. This was actually a larger painting. The initial paint on it was a larger painting that I then cut up. So you can see that there's already some stuff on there. And then all this was stuff me just like randomly painting on it. I wrote some text on here. Sometimes I like to write ideas of what I'm thinking onto it without much plan. And so this is kind of like what we're working with right now. Right now I can already see kind of this like skull figure in here, which is, I can't, now that I see it, I can't not see it anymore. I generally don't paint skulls. Unless you can really find a cool way of doing them, I think sometimes they can be a little cliche. But this form here is a really good start to then start putting in a portrait. I do have some photo references, but I think right now I really like what's going on down here in the black. There's some really cool textures, really interesting stuff. All the speckling that happened. This is ink on. It's not even, it's sawdust. But maybe we can put some speckling on there. Yeah, okay, let's get into it, see what happens. So using golden acrylics, my favorite acrylic brand. And then kind of got smudged, but this Speedball Super Black India ink. And then I got some Liquitex heavy body acrylic for the ivory black. All right. So I'm not really one to pre-mix anything. Right now I'm just working mostly in grayscale. So I just put on some black and some white on the palette. Put some healthy amount on there. Looks pretty good. As you can see, a lot of history on there. my professional mason jar water cup. All right, let's see what we got here. So I can already kind of see there's a nice like eye socket that's kind of happening here. So I'm just gonna define that a little bit. See what we can find here. So the trick with these is I like to try and leave some of the information that's already on there and incorporate it into the final painting. But the trick is to, how to work with it, keep it, but still seem like it's incorporated, but also not shy away from covering up and building new imagery. So I'm just mixing up a little bit of a kind of a middle tone. Get some, I'm already imagining maybe the light source coming in through here. Been working a little bit more in values and defining the forms with light like a real painter does. Yeah, I mean, not to say that if you don't do that, you're not a real painter, but traditional painting, I guess. Getting some basic values to structure what I'm seeing here. I like really loose painting. I like to see all the strokes. I like to see basically how it's built, so that when you get up close to it, it almost becomes abstract painting, where you step back a little bit and all those pieces come together. I think Cezanne is the one that really ushered that in. If you look at his work, it's all very like patch. If you look at it, it's all very patchworky, and his thing was to build up all these pieces together that then puts the scene together, rather than going in and perfectly blending paint to make it to erase brushstroke and make it really smooth. So working with portraiture and working in this kind of building values and um, kind of defining the forms a little bit more is like a new direction for me. Before, my work was a little bit more graphic and flat, or I used, I guess, you would say like abstraction to build things and use line a little bit more. Whereas here, I'm trying to build forms more with paint and brush stroke. Oh yeah, I also have this paint marker. These are fun. I was working on another painting that's a little bit more abstract, and was using the paint marker to do these tunnels, which I kind of might do now actually. Since the text on here says passage through death, passage through life, these tunnels can kind of work with that text and conveying this idea of passage. Just keeping it loose. So on the palette, I've got the black and the white, and then it's really hard to see, but kind of mixed like a darker gray, got like a mid gray, and then kind of a lighter gray, and these are the values that I'm working with. But Eric, there's so much gray on the palette. Yeah. I guess what I look for is the wet. But what's wet on the palette? There's a lot going on there. Some people make art out of their palettes. Okay. The cool thing with acrylic is if you use like glass or plastic, something non-porous, you can lift all that off like a skin and you can use it as a texture. This here, you can peel it all off and you've got this thing that you can then paint acrylic behind it, and then you can just stick it on and it'll become part of the painting. Very resourceful painting tip. So sketch in another eye here. A little bit too wet to really get that black in there. So this face is all coming out of what was already on there and basically from my memory, not looking at any photo reference. I feel like if you're working from memory, I don't know, at least for me, working from memory, you're really infusing your own experiences. I think to try and remember something is always going to be it's not going to be the perfect fact. It's not going to be perfectly factual. I mean, if you're bringing something up through memory, you're bringing it up through all your life experiences and might be other memories that might be attached to something. Okay, so got a good face going in. I don't know about this chin here. It's looking okay. I think the most fun part about painting, and especially uh, working in the figurative right now, is that I'm always nervous before I start. I never believe I can do it until I just start, and then the confidence comes in, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. And then it starts. You can kind of. It's kind of cliche, but it's kind of like magic. You just start putting different elements in, and if you have some technique behind you, it's amazing. I don't know, creation can be pretty amazing. I always encourage people to paint, draw, regardless of any experience or training. Just do it. For me, I think, to be honest, most of what I've developed, yeah, I went to school, wasn't a great student. I didn't really listen very well. And I kind of just always wanted to do my own thing anyway. And so the sketchbook was my everything. Just drawing constantly in the sketchbook and discovering and just doing every kind of mark possible, from scribbling to trying to draw something as accurately as possible to doing cartoon type of work, just everything. And it just becomes ingrained, and once it's like motor memory, and then you start to see what you kind of break from. You can kind of make a breakthrough at some point to see how it is that you do something uniquely, aside from, you know, maybe copying or being like too influenced by someone else's style or technique. Because in the end, it's really just about, at least what's most interesting to me, is how someone does something however they do it, and not how they think that they're supposed to do it. And so I really, there's a lot of like outsider art that I'm really interested in. I was just reading a book about Martin Ramirez. He was an outsider artist, and his work deals with a lot of tunnels and a lot of memory from his life in Mexico before he immigrated to the U.S. And then he was put away in a insane asylum for a lot of his life, and it seemed like the qualifications to be put in a psych ward back then were it was pretty unruly. If you acted a little bit odd and you were brown or black, they just threw you in there saying, well, oh, he's nervous, so let's just throw him in the psych hospital. And maybe it's just Martin had like a creative breakthrough and was just living on his own terms. Because once he was in there and he started drawing, this whole world came out. It's pretty amazing. So if you're not familiar with him, look him up. It's pretty easy to find on the intranet. So we put in some dark wash behind the face there to kind of accentuate it. We didn't use any ink today, but this painting has a lot of potential, and I'm actually really excited for it. I think the face has a really cool expression, got some really a lot of potential in these marks, and the text with the tunnels and interesting different um, just different marks, different modes of expression. Figure out what's going on here. in another session. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like the video. Also, if you want to subscribe and keep updated, I would like that very much. And also, any feedback, what I can do better, what you want to see, what you want to see less of. Always appreciated. And as I was saying that I'm done, I'm like now adding more stuff onto it. I guess if we got a light source coming in this way.